Well, the White House is intensifying calls for a temporary ceasefire in Gaza. Today, Secretary of State Antony Blinken will meet with Israeli War Cabinet member Benny Gantz in Washington. Vice President Kamala Harris and other top officials met with Gantz yesterday. Harris stressed the need for a temporary ceasefire to allow for the release of the remaining hostages and for more aid to flow into Gaza. Well, CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang is following the latest for us. Weijia, what can you tell us about Benny Gantz's meeting today with Blinken and his one yesterday with the vice president?
Well, his one today, I think, will be an extension of the conversations he had yesterday, not only with Vice President Harris, but also with the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, as well as leaders in the Senate. And as you mentioned, the focus really is trying to broker this hostage negotiation that essentially fell apart a little bit, at least, whenever there was that stampede in Gaza City that I know you have been covering, because Palestinian civilians were trying to access convoys of aid. President Biden actually had hoped that there would be a ceasefire by now. And of course, that ceasefire, a temporary one, is part of any deal to release those hostages, because the fighting, the violence must stop in order to give them a safe passage through. But there was also a stress on the need for Israel to find more ways to transport aid on the ground. And so I think today you'll see Blinken and Gantz talk about what more they could be doing. And this is a meeting that follows several that these two men have had in the region before since October 7th. So they know each other well. And now the question is, how can they move forward with getting what they both want to accomplish done?
As you know, the White House sort of commentary on this conflict has evolved significantly from the early days with President Biden coming off the plane and hugging Benjamin Netanyahu to what we see here, a very clear call for a ceasefire, but a Netanyahu political rival being invited to meet with the vice president, whereas Benjamin Netanyahu has yet to receive an invitation like that. What does the way the White House has evolved in terms of its approach to this conflict, what does it say to us?
I think this meeting says more about the cracks in the Israel War Cabinet than it does about U.S. policy. Gantz is actually the one who requested this visit to Washington, and he did it despite Netanyahu's objection. So this was in defiance of the prime minister. But when he left yesterday, Capitol Hill, he was asked by reporters, should the U.S. be dealing with you now on matters of the war, the conflict? And he said, no, no, no. And so I think that, this is a more centrist figure. And the question that has not been answered is how he perceives Palestinian statehood. Because Netanyahu has made clear that he does not believe that there could be a traditional two-state solution as we understand it. We don't know if Gantz agrees. He has not made that view public, and we don't know either if he agrees with the quote-unquote total victory that Netanyahu insists on, because there was another member of the Israel War Cabinet who said that that is unreasonable. So I think that it shows that there's some division within that war cabinet. As for U.S. policy, Anne-Marie, you're right that the rhetoric, the temperature, the delivery has changed, but I think it's important to note that U.S. policy has not changed. Because even though the vice president called for a, quote, immediate ceasefire, she took a pause and went on to complete the sentence to say a stop in fighting for 6 weeks to allow the hostages to be released. And that's been the case now for several months. So even though the delivery, I think, does send a different message, the substance has not changed in terms of where the U.S. stands.
Yeah, that is a good reminder, Weijia. Thank you very much.